Welcome to this video series of interviews from different companies. And in all these series, we are discussing about the interviews and the process, which are either cracked by me or somebody else who wants to stay anonymous. But there is enough proof gathered that this interview is genuine, which I will show you in this video also. And also, there is a note that all the answers discussed here are mostly correct, and I will explain both the perspectives, like what is the actual answer given by the interviewee and what is the most correct answer if that is not correct. And also, if you found that there is another most closest answer to what is discussed in this video, you can mention it in your comment section and I will take it from there
In
and
this video,
update in
we are
the
going to see
description
interview
section so that
experience of Jesse
everybody else who
with the
watches
company
the
called
video, they'll know
iFocus.
the updated and correct
iFocus
answers
has
than what is discussed in
three rounds
this
in
video.
particular. First round being technical, second managerial, and third the HR discussion. But the second round, though it is managerial, it also involves the technical aspects of the skill. All right, and this particular interview is for automation lead for Selenium, Java, APIs, and the experience they are looking for is around 8 to 10. Now, let's go for the first round. First round is technical, and this went for 30 minutes, and there are total 15 questions. Now, let's talk about first question, which is a general question. Tell me about yourself. So, this is self-explanatory. I'm not going to discuss it like in many other interviews, like I leave this to you. But we'll do one thing. There are many such general questions. So after many other interviews, I'll find out the best way to answer such general questions, and there'll be only a dedicated video with all these general questions and also general technical questions such as explain your uh, framework and what else. Okay, we will go on to this video. There are few general questions over here also. All such questions we'll make a dedicated video with the best suited answers which are applicable for any Selenium project. Okay, so now I'll move on to the second question, which is have you implemented any framework from scratch and explain the folder structures? So interviewer is impressed by the answer given by the Jessie, it seems, but she couldn't recall exactly word to word what she has explained, how she has explained. And I also don't want to explain my view about this. This goes by from person to person, and this is also a general question which we'll discuss in a general video I'm talking about. Okay, but the fundamental thing is you try to explain the framework in a simple way and in a more organized way. So that's the fundamental way to answer this question. Now move on to the third question. Array list and where you have used it in your scripts. So this is also most frequently asked the question. So okay, and there are many places when the interviewer has asked about array list, he doesn't mean to be specific about array list. He mean to say about the lists and collections concept in general. So by default, in the Selenium framework, we intend to use some defined collections. We have explained that part, and then okay, this goes as this. Like for example, where you will have to handle multiple windows and multiple web elements. So there, this thing comes in that these are written in the form of a set string. If it is driver.get windows window handles, so with the help of iterator, you can traverse through the windows and then you can choose the window where you wanted to perform the operation. Similarly, driver.find elements will return the list of web elements where you can choose the web element which you want to perform action on. Similarly, hash map is also used when you're launching the browser with the default settings over here. Just an example wherein with the help of hash map, you have set the default content setting value to 2 and you are using that option while launching the Chrome. So similarly, there are many places like wherein you implement the logs. There also you would have used this concept. And extensively in my project, I have used hash map wherein you know we have to deal with the extend reports, and the most generic way, place where you will be using, which I haven't put it on or here, what interviewer might be expecting is that when you're handling with the data provider, then you're going to handle with the arrays, list of arrays. So that is also another place where you will be using this. So you can leave in the comments so where in your project you have used this concept, so that others also will be knowing the best answer to this question. Okay, now let's move on to the fourth question and fifth question. These are together going by a demo. So how to remove duplicate from array list, and can key be null in hash maps? To answer this question, yes, it is possible that the key can be null in hash maps. So we'll see both of them in a demo. So first, how to remove duplicate from the array list. Okay, here you can see these are the questions. Now we are with IFocus, remove duplicate from array list. Okay, here you can see I have created a class, and okay, this is the class public, and okay, I have created some methods which is remove duplicate method. I'll explain this method. So in the main class, I have called the class. I have created an object which is obj for this class, and there is an array. So it's okay, like we are dealing with array over here, even though the question is about array list. The concept is how do you remove element basically. Okay, so I have created an, sorry, I have called that method which is remove duplicate, and the argument which I have passed is this array which is having duplicate elements in it. So I'm returning an array list, and then I am printing the array list, which is printing the array without the duplicate values. So A, B, C, A, B, C, E. So the duplicate values are A, B, C. So finally it should print A, B, C, and E. Okay. Now let's see and study the method what I have decided. So I pass the array over here. The method took the array and it is returning the array list. Okay. So here what the interviewer is expecting is some people will expect you to reply with a smart answer, and some people are actually going to test how you are thinking of a logic, like how you remove uh, the duplicate over here. Okay, here we are talking about the smart answer. The smart answer is that you convert this array to hash sets. So sets will not accept the duplicate values, wherein arrays will accept the duplicate values. Why arrays will accept the duplicate values is because array will identify the element by its index. So it doesn't care what is stored in the index, whether it is a duplicate element or not. Since the index is unique all the time, it will print even though it is a duplicate element. Whereas in assets, it is different. It won't accept the duplicate elements. All right, so that's why I'm planning to convert this array list into array into hash set. That's why I have created an object for hash set, and I have passed each array element into the set. I have added the element into the hash sets. Okay, so first it will take A, then again it will take B, again it will take C, and the next time when it is coming to take element A, it won't take it because A is already there. Similarly B and C, and finally it will take E. So now my asset is having only unique elements. Now again I am passing back the asset elements to array list, so that finally I am having a array list only, not the asset, because I am using array list for a different purpose that I don't want to use asset. In that case, you will convert that back to array list, this time with only the unique values without any duplicates. But there is no condition that you don't have to use, you have to use hash, array list only, then you can start using the hash set as it is. Okay, so I converted it back to the array list again without having, which is not having any duplicate. Now let me run this script. So I run this, and you should see A, B, C, E, the output. Okay, got it. So this is about the fourth question, and the fifth question is about hash maps accepting null values. Okay, this we'll see it here. I've created a hash map variable, and let us see the syntax of hash map. I mean, what hash map is accepting, the methods which are there in this collection. So I'm talking about putting something into hash map. So it is taking two arguments, key and value. And if you read the code, here you will see that they are talking about the null value is possible in the hash map. So it is clear that, okay, in hash map, it is possible that you can have null value for a key which you have mentioned. And not only that, it is also possible that key itself can be null, having some value in it. But the second case is something which is rare and it's not useful or implemented anywhere. But if you get a chance that you have to implement for some other reasons, yes, that is also possible. And if you just take it, by default it is showing that, okay, null values are also possible. So but let's not go by this. Let's print it so that we'll understand it is actually taking the null value or not. Okay, so okay, I try to pass some key value paste. I pass tiger value, which is indicating it is a male, tigress is a female, and LGBT, there is no LGBT in tigress, only male and female. So there is no value for this. And I'm passing null itself in the key, and I'm passing the value of animal in it, and I'm printing it. So let me print it and see. So you can see here all the four which are added into the hash map are printed over here, which means that it is accepting the null values. And also one more interesting factor you have noticed is it is not following any order. See, you have inserted in this order, this one first, second, third, and fourth. At least what you can accept expect is if it is printing in the order of last in first out, it is not even doing it. This is the last one, so it came as first. Last but not one is this one, but it didn't came as second one. So there is no order followed in hash maps. So that is one more difference between the lists and maps, lists and sets. Thing is that they are not ordered, whereas lists are ordered. They'll be printed in the order because they go by the index, right? Okay, this is another fundamental difference between the lists and sets. All right, okay, that's about fourth and fifth questions. Now let's move on to the sixth question. What is interface? So interface in Java is a template or blueprint of a class. It has some static variables and also abstract methods. So the interface in Java is a mechanism to achieve the abstraction. Okay, there can only be abstract methods in the Java interface, but there is no body in the methods because they are abstract methods. It is used to achieve abstraction and multiple inheritance in Java. Okay, so this is what is interface is about. But let me explain briefly about what is template or blueprint means and where interfaces are useful. So like we see, interfaces are useful when you want to achieve multiple inheritances in your project. When you want to implement multiple inheritance, then there you will you know start using the interfaces. And you wanted to achieve abstraction, that you don't want to show the code and show the implementation to everybody, but to only that class where you are implementing that method. Then this is possible with the help of abstraction, sorry, with the help of interfaces, where which is giving you abstract methods but not the implementation of the method. Okay, the implementation is on only to the child, which is um, implementing this particular interface. And now let me explain the other term, which is serving as a template or blueprint for a class. Okay, so when you implement an interface to a particular class, so the compiler will indicate that you have to implement the methods which are defined in the interface, which means that the compiler is going to force you that you have to implement the methods which are defined in the interface. So if there is a big project and there are chances that when you are mm, okay, creating some module or sub module, and possibly that module is going to use some other modules, and in that module there are many methods and all the methods should be used in the child class where you are implementing it. Okay, There is possibility that if you don't use interface concept, that uh, you may miss some of the methods, that you may miss to implement them. But if you define in the interface already that these are the set of methods which you are going to implement while designing the new module, there the compiler will indicate you that okay, you forgot about implementing this method, okay, you have to implement this method. So such template or blueprint or planning is possible by the interfaces. So the next time when you are actually implementing the interface in some of the child classes, you won't miss about some of the methods. In that way, you have to implement that blueprint which is defined in the interface. That's the main advantage of the interface. Now let's talk about the seventh question, where you have implemented interface in your project. So by default, Selenium framework itself will come with some default implementation of the interfaces. The most famous interface implementations are the WebDriver and Web Elements. Okay, so WebDriver is an interface. Web Element is also an interface. These are the most commonly used interfaces in Selenium project. Apart from, based on the demand of your project, automation project, you will stand a chance to implement your own interface class. Okay, so you can explain about this in your project. Also, some you can mention in the comments so that others will know that what led you to implement interface in your particular project. Okay, now let's move on to the eighth question. Explain WebDriver statement and the other different WebDriver statements. What does it mean is, okay, they are talking about general WebDriver statement. Okay, here you see that this is the most widely used WebDriver statement. And why you are using this WebDriver statement, but why not? The reference to this object is Firefox driver class, but not WebDriver instance. And okay, but okay, if you want to use this is fine. If you want to use this statement, this is fine. This is also fine. All of them are correct, but why this one in particular? So let's try to understand this one. Um, why this is because if you create your object with a reference to the WebDriver interface, then you will stand a chance to do cross-browser testing or multi-browser testing in your framework. Okay, so if you declare the driver with this way, um, next time you can't use driver object to launch a driver, Chrome application, Chrome browser, and do your testing of that application in the browser. This is not possible. Instead, you have to create one more object which could be driver one, and this will instantiate Chrome driver and do your testing on the Chrome browser. But wherein if you create a driver with a reference of WebDriver, you can use this driver instance both for Firefox driver and also the Chrome driver. That is possible if you create the driver with a WebDriver object. So that's the difference between these statements. Now let's move on to the ninth question. Is exceptions and how you have handled in your project. This is again a general question which we can discuss in the general video I'm talking about. Let me simplify it. And here, this is explained that as per the project which are done by me, I mean by Jesse, we talk about no such element exceptions are the most found exceptions. How do you handle them is by putting the effective wait statements, and also sometimes by refreshing the pages. Sometimes when you when there is a page which is launched, sometimes the object is not loaded completely. That time the element will not be found. And how you handle it is, even though if you have put on waits, the object is not loaded. In that case, the best option is to refresh that page. But you have to identify the pattern that okay, this is the problem which is caused in that page, and then you can implement the refresh page thing over there. And how you and the best way to implement these things are with the help of try catch blocks. So when you when you see this exception, you write a catch logic of refreshing that page. Similarly, null point exceptions. So null pointer exceptions are faced in many places wherein null values are returned either in the list of objects or either in the list of strings or set of strings. So wherever you're talking about list arrays, there is a possibility that a null value will be found, and you can handle that exception, that you can catch the null pointer exception, and you can define a logic how to handle null pointer exception, whether ignore that and continue with the next statements or write some logic. And one more example I can give in this case is, let's say that at certain point you are expecting multiple windows, and you're not getting multiple windows all the time at that particular point, but if you're getting the multiple windows at some particular cases. So how you handle that is, when you are not getting multiple windows, this particular statement, which is driver dot mm, get windows, get window handles, this could return null value when you are iterating through a loop. At the second uh, loop, you will not see any window, it will return null value. So there you can handle that by skipping that and continuing with the execution with the mm, okay, as per the project. This way you can do it. There are many examples. You can mention in the comments how you have faced what you have faced the exceptions in your project and how you have handled them, so that it will be helpful for others also. The next question, 10th question is, have you used APM in your project? No, I didn't use. And the 11th question is, multiple try and single catch, is it possible? So answer to this is, it is not possible. It will throw a compilation error as said below. Okay. And moving on to the 12th question, which is RTM. What is RTM? Which is requirement traceability matrix. We discussed about how we map the requirements against the test cases so that the coverage is ensured. So we can discuss more about requirement traceability matrix. I don't want to continue further. So you can prepare about this question. Moving on to the 13th question, the different methods you have worked on the API. Here comes about the questions of API, which is REST API testing. So I answered like I used get, post, put in my project, but there are other methods also, which is patch and delete methods. In general, you can go through what are these requests later. And moving on to the 14th question, difference between post and put. Okay, so you see, post is about creating a new request, and put is, in short, replacing the existing resource. Okay, so for example, if you post the same body multiple times, what it will do is, each time it will create or insert new record into the database, or it will create new resource into the database, and it will return to not one successful code all the time. So it will create duplicate resources or entries. But if you use put request, what it will do is, if there is a resource created already, it will replace the resource instead of creating one more entry for that one. And the place where you will use put request is, if you want to amend your existing request with something else, um, but you want to make it look like a new request again. In that case, what you do is, you will add that amendment part in your body, and you will post the put request instead of post request, which will replace the existing resource. And also there is a patch request which will also do something similar to put, but it will behave differently. Instead of replacing the entire or creating the new entry entirely, what it will do is, it will just amend that part. Okay, we have discussed this concept uh, in a different video. I'll show it at the end of this video. Okay, now let's move on to the 15th question. So how do you handle token expiration in your projects? So I have explained this from the point of view of my project. There could be different answers also to this question, which you can mention in the comments so that it will be helpful for others. So in my project, what happens is, the token will expire after some time, and there is another request which will be triggered with the same token. Or for example, if you wanted to run the same request many times, and each time when you are running the request, it will check the token has expired or not. And if the token has expired, it will create a new token instead of trying with the same token. So for that, how did I handle it is, when the token is created, I have taken the time of the token is created, and I put the time, and I capture this time in some place. So the next time when the request is run again, before it runs the request and it finds out the token has expired and written an error message, what it will do is it will check for the token based on the time when it is created and based on the current timestamp. If the current timestamp is such a way that the token has expired, instead of running the request first, it will create the token and then it will run the request. In that way, I have handled the token which has expired. I'm sure that there are many ways to handle it, which you can mention in the comments below so that it will be useful for others. And also, you can go to my blog 4verstyles.blogspot.com, wherein I am keeping all such interviews at one place, not just these interviews, but there are other topics also which you can see. Rest issued testing, API automation is there, testing related stuff is here. mm, Java road to Selenium things are discussed, Selenium catalog. So there are many things which are still in progress. Of course, this is not completely design, so this is in progress all the time. Okay, if you are particular about interviews, you can just go to these interviews. You can just go to these interviews. Okay, and you can click on which you wanted to see. And for example, if you didn't find any interview, it means like this is in progress. For example, now we are talking about iFocus. I haven't uploaded it yet. uh, that's why you won't find it, but later I will upload it. So please check this blog for more information. You'll find all my videos and you can find link to my channel. And yeah, so that is all about. And okay, I'm talking about difference between post and put request. So you can go to, okay, I can go to my channel. uh, okay, let's not do this. You know my channel, right? So you can go to my channel and go to the playlist of related to REST APIs. There you'll find a video where we talk about post difference between post and put request. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching video.
Thank you for watching the video. For more videos like this, do subscribe to the channel and share it to your friends. You can also visit the playlist in the channel, and those who like to read the content can visit the blog 4verstyles.blogspot.com. And for any queries or you want to join us, drop an email to sharetesttube@gmail.com. Bye for now. Stay tuned for more content.